Hello, I'm Pastor Glaeske, and this is Redeemer Lutheran Church's Midweek Devotion. If you can see around behind me, realize that things are a little bit messed up. Our worship space isn't set up the way we would normally have it set up. And you might wonder, well, what's going on? Are you closing down? The answer is no, we're not closing down. It's actually good news. We're moving, and we're packing up, getting ready to move. But as I considered the way this room looks, I'm kind of reminded of a passage that I was studying this morning in my morning devotions. Sometimes our lives can look a little bit like this room, all packed up, things ready to move, but we're just not there yet. Maybe this time of the year, in the year 2020, you may feel that way. Things just haven't gone the way any of us would have expected, and whether it's because of the virus or the financial situation or whatever, you don't know what's coming next, and I can assure you, nobody does. We're all trying to figure it out. We thought we'd know by now, but we still don't know. And that's causing a lot of problems for people personally, mentally, psychologically, but even spiritually. We are filled because of our fears of the unknown with anxiety, frustrations that lead to anger. Even we get a sense of guilt because we think we should be doing something, but we don't know what. We feel we should be doing something better, but we don't know how. And all of that becomes overwhelming. Kind of like if this room makes you kind of feel a little overwhelmed because there's just so much going on and doesn't seem to have any organization to it. Well, in that passage I was referring to earlier in Matthew chapter 11, listen to what Jesus says. He says, "No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son wants to reveal him." Now that's the first part. Jesus is simply saying only God knows who God is. Only God knows what God is like. Except to those people to whom the Son of God makes God known. In other words, the Son of God is the human face of God to us. He shows us what our God is like. But is he exclusive in that? Maybe not as exclusive as people might think. Listen to the next beautiful words then. He says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Are you feeling weary and burdened? Maybe it's the load of sin you've been carrying around, or guilt for things you've done, thought, said, or felt in the past. Or maybe it's just the anxiety and the frustration from this current situation that we find ourselves in the year 2020. No matter how you're weary or burdened, Jesus says you can come to him because he's going to give you rest. Now, how is he going to do that? Well, he continues. He says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, because I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." You may not know what a yoke is. We don't tend to use them too often anymore in farming the way it used to be. But a yoke was a kind of a bowed-shaped piece of wood that farmers would use to team two work animals together. And normally they would do this so that it would make the burden of pulling or dragging or whatever they were doing easier for the both of them. Normally they would get two animals with similar strengths and abilities to carry out this work. But do you see what Jesus is suggesting here? Jesus is the mighty God. He has all power to carry all the burdens, all the weight, do all the heavy lifting and the work. But he wants you to come with him. He wants to take that burden away from you. So he says, be yoked to me. Come get connected with me, and I'll do all the heavy lifting. I'll take care of all the anxiety and the guilt and the sin and the burden of fear and punishment or future or death, and I'll carry it. And you'll get to walk alongside of me, and you'll also get the credit. That's credible, isn't it? And that then just shows that what Jesus says next is true, that our God is humble and gentle in heart. That's what your God is like. He truly does care for you. And so with him doing all the heavy lifting, Jesus can rightly say his yoke is easy, his burden is light for you. And how do you know Jesus is able to carry that burden for you, even the burdens of your present situation? Because that's why he came into this world, to carry that enormous debt of the world's sin, the enormous burden of the world's guilt and all the evil and the punishment and even the death. And he suffered and bled and died it all away on the cross. And by his resurrection, he has given us living proof that in fact that burden has been taken away from us forever. We have nothing but life to look forward to. We in fact do have peace with God right now. Our souls are at rest with him even now. And if Jesus could take care of those big problems, then what about what St. Paul calls our light and momentary troubles? Well, the Lord's apostle, St. Peter, encourages us, cast all your care and anxiety on him because he cares for you. Yeah, your life may feel a little bit like our former ministry center here, all packed up, things put in different places, and yet you're really not sure where we're going from here yet. But Jesus does. And you don't need to be concerned about any of those burdens because he's going to be the one lifting and doing all the hard work for you. So I invite you to come and get yoked to Jesus. You can do that through Redeemer Lutheran Church. We'd be happy to help you with that. You can continue to like us on Facebook and our YouTube channel so you can join us for weekly worship. And then when we get to our new place for worship and we begin face-to-face worship, we'd invite you to join us here in Victoria at Redeemer Lutheran to get yoked to Jesus, whose yoke is easy, whose burden is light, who gives you and sets your hearts at peace and at rest. God give you the rest and the peace you need this week.